Hi, this is Stan. Welcome back to the Crow's Nest Railroad. Well, let's take a look at my number 3 this week. Well, if you follow this channel, you know that I don't get to spend a lot of time with my number 3. It is up at Adobe Western Railroad, and it's in Bob's Container, part of the Maricopa Live Steamers run railway out here, and it's about an hour or so away from my house, so I don't get up here every week. So we're having a spring meet, got a lot of trains out here, and I thought, well, maybe let's just take a look at my equipment if you're curious about it. Okay, that's the locomotive. This is 7.5-inch gauge, and it's an outline, meaning it's an electric locomotive. And here's a little driving car, a little flat car. And my gondola. So I keep all this equipment up here in the container. So this I built to kind of look like a whimsical version of a little Porter switching locomotive. And I did not build the basic chassis. So the chassis itself was part of a powered chassis kit that I bought, which was a frame and the wheels, electric motor, Siren 50 controller, and some little giblets to control everything. But basically this frame was built by a gentleman named Mr. Motion, and he is no longer in business, but it was a frame that was designed to have a locomotive body, but one that you would sit on. And his theory was that, well, if you're just starting out, you don't want to build two things, you want to build just one thing. So how about building a locomotive that you could not only run as a locomotive, but if you didn't have any rolling stock, you could sit on it and run it that way, and also it gave it a little more attractive effort by adding your weight to it, and it would pull quite a bit. Now, the only downside was that the wheelbase is quite long because you want your body weight in between the two axles. So it's not ideal for a super sharp radius turn. Anyway, I started out with a small little Lackawanna diesel body on it to start with. I even toyed with the idea of making a speeder out of it. But eventually, I decided not to ride on top of it. I wanted to ride behind it. And so I decided to give a larger scale look to it and make this little Porter. So let me see if I can show you some of the details. Kind of look back in the cab here. Oh, I should say that at the time I built this, I had a pickup truck, and it had a soft cover on the bed of the pickup. And I was transporting this to and from the Adobe Western Railroad in my pickup, and I wanted to be able to have it covered. So everything on this locomotive had to be convertible. Everything had to break apart right at this level here and not be any higher. So top of the smoke box, that was as high. So it's very unusual in that all these pieces pop off on the top, and I can't remember if I've explained that before on YouTube or not. But as it turns out, that was also crucial for my being able to fit it into Bob's Container on some of the shelf space there. So it only takes me a few minutes to assemble all the parts and make a loco out of it. And you can see here it's got a little monkey business down there, and I built that to kind of, again, pretend that it was a steam locomotive. But the oil can is actually real because I do lubricate all these moving parts down here. And the main boiler is basically a sonotube. This is metal cladding here. This is all PVC stuff. Doing this little bird's mouth, that's kind of a challenging project, especially on something that's not a round. It's not a parabolic, but it's not curved either, like a circle. And this little lamp, I found the basic lamp, I think at Ace Hardware store, and tricked it out. A little chimney, PVC, a little fitting from like a water heater, and then this little plastic gizmo, pop some screen in there. This began its life as a chlorine tab floating holder for a swimming pool. So you can see I've adapted whatever local materials I can get. Cut out a bunch of circles with the router. Got some oak down here. Ferris Locomotive Works. I need to do some more detail here. I probably am not going to put glass in it, but I may do a little padded armrest in here. You can see I got a little windscreen going down there. And this is a boiler tag. Now, I just love to mess around a little bit. So I've got this boiler tag that is required on our steam engines here. You have to have the boiler certified before you can run. So I found one of these tags that fell on the ground, and I keep it on there. I do have some little motorcycle pedals so I can stretch my feet out if I want to. And a little Johnson bar for forward and reverse, which basically operates a little toggle switch down there. See, we got a good water level, good pressure. And this is a little throttle bar here. This is actually the potentiometer for the controller, horn, light, safeties of course. And you can see that tubing run, that is air, compressed air, which runs the little whistle that I made. This thing swings out to be in a comfortable position, and this operates the valve down there for the whistle. And when I first built it, I tricked it out with little flickering LEDs down there in the firebox, but I haven't messed with that in a while. But we do run safety chains here. And this flat car started its life out as a, I mentioned before that Mr. Motion is gone. However, Aaron at Millbrook Railroad, he is still making a modified version of that chassis and locomotive, if that's what you want. I'll put a link to his website and you can check it out. So he's keeping that concept alive. He's done some of his own improvements, and you can still get a hold of this type of frame that is a either ride behind or ride on, and that's a pretty peculiar design. So this flat car started out life as a Titan Trains kit. You have to put about 1 billion of these rivets in there. Some are structural rivets, some are faux rivets. And then I built this box, and here's the air compressor that I charge up to run the whistle. This locomotive has an automotive horn and a whistle, and so it doubles as a passenger seat and hides the compressor. And this, ta-da! This is the Tushmaster 2000. You kind of wonder, why in the world do you need a chair like this on a locomotive? Swivels there, and it is comfortable. On the Crow's Nest Railroad, I just use plywood, but our railroad out here is long. I mean, we have miles and miles of track, more than 16 miles of track. So when you go out to a subdivision ride, you're gone for a long time. And if you spend the day riding out here, it's really nice to have a cushy seat. It's been very comfortable. The trick is, here in the sun, keep the sun off it so you don't get the Blazing Saddles thing going. And the one thing about these Titan Trains kits, at least at this vintage, to be honest, I don't know what they're doing right now, but this was aluminum frame. And so for my second car, I wanted a Lackawanna. I wanted a little gondola that I could, you know, park stuff in. And so I built this one from scratch, and I used an aluminum framing concept in the bottom, but it's basically plywood. Tried to make it look as much like metal as I could, but it is not metal. Even these details are all wood, and little brads for rivets. And love the Phoebe Snow, quite a story behind the Phoebe Snow. And so this has been a real workhorse for me. Carries all my stuff, and turns out if you put your mind to it, you can build something from scratch.
Ran good, Aaron.
Huh?
Ran good.
I know.
There's the rear end, and this is just a mess with people's heads. Seeing a propane tank on there, they might, in a sudden misdirected thought, think that I'm running propane on this instead of electrons. So, having fun. Between the propane tank and the boiler tag, you never know. There's the bell and the homemade PVC whistle. Well, this is Stan saying thanks so much for watching. I had fun, a little show and tell. Hope you enjoyed it as well. See you right here next time on the Crow's Nest Railroad.